After a slow start to 2025, we did have the January camp, which I'll get to in a moment here on this program. Things are really clicking for the U.S. men's national team as we head into 2025, the precursor for the biggest year in U.S. men's soccer history, the 2026 World Cup. Before we get to some of that news, I want to share some personal news, which is pretty big. I will be there at SoFi Stadium for the Nations League semifinals next Thursday, and I'll be there for the third place game and hopefully the extravaganza final, USA-Mexico, on that Sunday. The Soccer OG will have you covered, so turn to these channels for all the latest news. I'll be having conversations I've been talking to CONCACAF, I've been talking to U.S. Soccer, hope to be talking to a lot of the important people that'll be out there. For USA, for Canada, for Mexico, maybe a little Panama, if we have the time. So, here on the Soccer OG, like and subscribe, hit that like button. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers because we're going to have a lot of good videos coming over the next few weeks. In particular, the U.S. men's national team. We'll also keep the MLS videos going. We'll also talk about some world soccer. Now we have some more big news coming your way with the announcement in June of 2 major friendlies, World Cup preps, call them what you will. Everyone was hoping for the big name, I'm sure, like Brazil or Argentina or England or France. England's been shopped around there. I think we'll get England at some point before the World Cup. But in a game that will be played in East Hartford and another game in Nashville, we're going to get Turkey and Switzerland. I love these two ads, and for a few reasons. Turkey and Switzerland are countries that have had recent success in major competitions. Turkey more recently in the Euros, but Switzerland constantly makes the knockout stages in every tournament that they are in. So you're getting a good test there, but more so, Turkey, who, by the way, I think the Turkish program is going to be moving in the right direction as a country that can get pretty far at a World Cup. They got great young talent. It's all coming together to them. So nice to get them on the schedule. But these are two countries that if the USA wants to hit their target, and we're hearing quarterfinals or something like that from Mauricio Pochettino and others, that's where I'm going to set it. Quarterfinals is a success, especially in an expanded World Cup. These are the countries that you have to beat on home soil. Turkey and Switzerland, who knows, maybe you'll see them because I think both of them will be qualifying for an expanded 2026 World Cup. So that's very exciting. And then the other news, the roster released for the Nations League, Mauricio Pochettino. A couple surprises here, 23-man roster, a couple exciting ads for sure. And as we show you the roster there are some big stories. There are 6 MLS players on this team, which is probably a lot more than you would think. I'm not here to kind of, being an MLS voice to kind of compare. I know what's up here. You have the goalkeepers. Most of our good goalkeepers are in MLS. And we have a forward crisis injury-wise. Ricardo Pepi's out. Flo Balogun is just returning. Haji Wright is out. And we're going down the pecking order, which means Patrick Agyemang and Brian White make the roster. Diego Luna also made the team. And it got me thinking how we talk about Camp Cupcake and that it is a waste of time. I call it Camp Cupcake. I think it's probably a waste of time, but not this year under the watch of Mauricio Pochettino. He looked at some players there and they earned their spot for this team. But there it is, 3 goalkeepers. I think Zach Steffen's got to be doing backflips about the fact that he made this team. I was hoping maybe Diego Cochin makes it so you have that young goalkeeper you can develop. Mauricio Pochettino went a different direction. You look at some of the... Miles Robinson didn't make it, and I thought he's been playing pretty well for club. Austin Trusty's moved ahead of him in the pecking order, at least for the Nations League. Probably deserving because he's made some inroads with Celtic, making it a good run with the Champions League group. And then the other thing is some injuries, and we'll get into that as well as we see some of these players returning from injuries. We do have a pretty lengthy injury list, but Tyler Adams is back. Serginho Dest not back quickly enough. Neither is Flo Balogun, but some good news for the summertime. And Gio Reyna has been dealing with a lot of injuries, been getting some games, gets in the roster too. I will talk about him because I think he is a major talking point on this team. But yes, the Diego Luna, I could not believe it. And we'll get to that let's start with Diego Luna because to me it's the most interesting. You all remember in the January camp, he broke his nose, he got back on the field. Mauricio Pochettino with the now famous quote saying he has some balls, some huevos. And I have to know for a fact that got him on this roster. Mauricio Pochettino was so impressed with Diego Luna and his accoutrement that he has made this team. Whether he plays a lot, probably not, but he's on the team. Such an amazing story for that young player. Let's stick with the MLS theme. And Patrick Agyemang and Brian White played well enough to come back. I guess there's a different direction you could go, but the U.S. forward situation has been thinned out with the injuries. There's no other two ways about it. So Agyemang has scored 2 goals in January, and Brian White. What's interesting, because you look at this roster, that one of them might get into a game. And the question is who? We'll talk about Josh Sargent, who I view as the most important player on this roster right now. But who might get in there is a backup forward. No Brandon Vasquez, so both these players moved ahead of Vasquez. And Alejandro Zendejas, also not a number 9, but a forward who didn't make it. You could have brought in another winger and one less center forward. Why not? So who's it going to be? I will say this. In the early MLS season, Brian White's playing very well. Agyemang has not. He's been a pretty non-factor for Charlotte. Hasn't had really any chances. Brian White's been a big part for one of the surprising teams in the MLS, the Vancouver Whitecaps, if not the most surprising team. So I get the feeling Brian White might be that second number 9 off the bench. And if he does that, Brian White, who's he's in his mid-20s, late 20s, all of a sudden might be a guy that could get into a marketplace, another forward, an American forward who could see success overseas. It's a great story. Quite a revival. Congratulations to Brian White. So I'm going to give you I put together a starting 11. I want to go through, and we'll talk about some of the players within this after I list this. This is my 11, and keep in mind what happened against Jamaica in the quarterfinals, because that is swaying me in some of these decisions. Matt Turner is the number 1. No ifs, ands, or buts about that at goalkeeper. Jedi Robinson, left back. Joe Scally on the right, but good news that Serginho Dest is starting his comeback. The center back pairing, the ideal pairing would be Mark McKenzie and Chris Richards. I just don't think Mauricio Pochettino is going to discard Tim Ream after playing him so much in every camp, including the January camp. I think he feels confident with Ream. Tim Ream's there for a reason. If he's not going to play, then why bring a 40-year-old player almost into this fold? I think it's going to be Ream, and I think it is going to be Chris Richards. Did I put that on that 11? If I didn't, I apologize, because I was going back and forth with McKenzie and Richard. But Richards has been playing remarkably with Crystal Palace, even though McKenzie played very well in those Jamaica games. It could be a coin flip between those two. Both very deserving. Maybe they play together. I just don't see Tim Ream making way. So it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, we think. That engine room, Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie. And then we have Tim Weah on the left, as we saw him against Jamaica. Yunus Musa on the right, who to me has been, has to be viewed as that project, that key player in the Pochettino style. He likes Musa in this role, and I don't see him budging from that. Christian Pulisic in that number 10 role, Josh Sargent up top. So the takeaways from that 11, I think we went, I don't want to get too detailed with the fringe players. There's going to be some guys that are going to be able to get in there. But just again, Dest, we should mention Malik Tillman, Ricardo Pepi, no Brendan Aronson on this team. Gio Reyna, I don't think Gio Reyna, I understand why Gio Reyna makes this roster, but he doesn't really deserve to be here. And because of everything that's happened, he could be a distraction. Probably not. I'm just thinking out loud. I understand why he's here. You give him his chance. You integrate him here. He's been dealing with health issues all along during the Pochettino era. I think some people think he's going to be thrown into the team right away. I can't see that happening. I would be disappointed if he did. I know he is arguably one of our 1 or 2 most talented players in the pool, but he's had a catastrophic stretch. Hasn't played a lot for Dortmund. Horrible move to Nottingham Forest. A lot of coaches don't rate him, clearly. They could say that in public, but if they're not playing him, this is a couple coaches at Dortmund and at Nottingham Forest. So that gives me a lot of pause. Gio Reyna has a lot to prove. And I think Mauricio Pochettino is going to give him a fair shake, going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and he gets in there. But he can't be in the starting 11. I cannot believe after the goodwill that is what's happened and because of how Pochettino views Yunus Musa, who if Reina came in, I think that's who he would replace. You move Pulisic to the right, you put Reina at the 10 and Weah in there, and it would still be Adams and Weston McKennie. So Gio Reyna, he'll log some minutes. I don't think he'll log a lot of minutes, but I've been wrong about that before. But Gio, on the clock, get it right, get well, get to a new club, and let's put all this behind us, or he can't be part of the big picture. I'm sorry I said it. Tyler Adams had back surgery after the Copa America, has been incredible for Bournemouth. Big add for this team that we didn't have in prior games. So Tyler Adams makes it in there. He has some cover. You know, you have Tanner Tessman, you have Johnny Cardoso, other guys that can come in. I think Cardoso and Tanner Tessman are screaming for minutes. There's just no spot to put them. And I don't think you're going to move Weston McKennie out of that. And Tyler Adams is going to probably take his role as the captain once again and lead this team. He's done everything from the injury to now to earn it, and hopefully he stays healthy. So that's a big add into this team. And Yunus Musa has looked great in these games in this role, better than he's done with clubbing sometimes. I mean, he's done some things where you stand out of your seat in those Jamaica games and in the prior friendlies for that. Tim Weah is a guy you could play at number 9. Number 9 is a concern, and it is Josh Sargent's position to lose. 8 goals in his last 8 games for Norwich City. He's been fantastic. He is more than deserving, and there's relief that he is here because of all the injuries. That said, Sargent has just been disappointment in the national team role throughout. We wait and we wait and we wait. Well, now is the time, Josh. Now is the time, because if Ricardo Pepi, Ed, or Flo Balogun were healthy, you wouldn't be starting. Grab this opportunity. Show us you can do what we all know. We think you can. Get it done. Because if he doesn't in that semifinal against Panama, which I expect the United States to get through, and we will preview those games in a couple days, then you're going to get the hook. I think it's that simple. We can't sit here and say the form at the club level automatically gets you here in the national team. And I think we're seeing that with the selections. The longer that Mauricio Pochettino is in there, he's not going to give you these games just because you have a big reputation or you're playing well. He wants you to play, which is part surprising why Gio Reyna made it in there, because he hasn't played. The other player who hasn't played a lot is Matt Turner, but he's a goalkeeper, so you give him a pass there. But Mauricio Pochettino wants to see the results. He's on the clock. We're running out of time. We're 15 months away from the World Cup. It is time to get it going. And Josh Sargent, you're not going to get a better chance than this one. I have the feeling he'll get a goal, and we'll see what that means. But he is the key player for this squad for this tournament. We have the Nations League covered here on the Soccer OG. Like and subscribe. Get us to 5,000 subscribers so we can continue all this great coverage, so I can pay for this beautiful studio that we built just for you guys. We'll see you soon. The Nations League, baby. We're back.